Does it seem like everybody's always cheating all the time? Is that what your social media says? For many people, it feels like cheating's everywhere. It's in all the movies, it's in all the songs, it's in all the social media, and it's like always there. And I just want to bring attention to something that's happening. Have you ever heard of something called the availability heuristic? It's basically this idea that if we can remember something really fast, that must mean that it's happening often. And then there's something called the availability cascade, which means if we see something's happening everywhere, it must also be happening often. But what's actually happening is emotional salience. So that means when something very emotional happens, something positive or negative, mostly negative, because humans, we have a negative cognitive bias. When we uh, witness something like that in real life, on TV, doesn't matter, what happens is we'll remember it way better. The reason we're remembering it better is because uh, it feels like something of ours is threatened. So, for example, if someone is being cheated on, it could feel like they're gonna die because we come from a tribal culture where if ties are broken between people and we realize we're confused, it's not what I thought it was. I thought things were great. No, people have been lying to me, right? So it's basically like abandonment and also self-doubt, right? So cheating brings those very like primal survival anxiety. Brings it out in us, right? Well, that's the reason that why we remember it so deeply. It's also known as the negative cognitive bias. But the reason that's happening is because our brain is trying to keep us alive. It's trying to say, always keep your eyes out. Because if somebody is lying to you, betraying you, abandoning you, things may not be like how you think. So then when we see something like this on social media, aka cheating, right? It's literally like, hey, you might die one day because of this, being abandoned and isolated and not understanding what's going on. And so our brain just remembers and remembers and remembers. And then the cascade heuristic part is that if you with the algorithms these days, if you watch something with cheating, they're just gonna all social media cares about is engagement. So they're just gonna give it to you more and more and more. Social media really does not care at all whether the content is making you happy, making you sad. All they care about is watch time. And if you're in a paralysis because you're seeing something that's like shocking to you and scary to you, like all of this cheating stuff, the scenes from movies or in real life, and there's even fake AI content, that's what the algorithm's going to keep serving you over and over and over. So, there's this thing that happens these days on social media, and it's like people need to go out and touch the grass because it's not real. So much of what we see on social media is it's like the shark attacks. So if there's a shark attack, right? There was a famous study done a while ago, I think over 10 years ago now, but it doesn't matter, where a shark attack is so like vicious and so like scary and so like we can't even imagine it or picture it. And so when there is a shark attack, it's everywhere on all the news for so long. So suddenly it feels like sharks are attacking a lot of people. But obviously that's not the case. It's just that uh, it's because it's sensational. We remember it more. So it's literally the exact same thing that's happening with cheating. So I'm not trying to be naive and pretend cheating doesn't happen. I'm not trying to say uh, ignore the science for cheating. But what I am trying to say is if you find yourself in that funnel where you're just seeing cheating stuff over and over and over again, just understand it's the few people who are speaking the loudest in the room, and it seems like everybody thinks that way when it's only those people who are just loud and talkative and scary. So the negative cognitive bias is also if if you hear 10 great compliments about you, but you only remember that one negative. So what's the solution here? Right? The solution here is you need to just be more intentional with your social media. I think leaving social media, So this really depends on your values and your lifestyle. If you left social media, you're not even watching this video, so there's no point of me really even talking to that audience. But if you are on social media, you need to be very intentional. The thing is, even if you understand this availability heuristic and, yeah, Kevin, I get it. I know it's not happening everywhere. I know the algorithm's just trying to engage me. I know that I don't assume everyone cheats just because I see it sometimes. Even if you understand all of that logically, if you're watching that content a lot, it becomes way more emotionally salient and it will stick with you. And the idea that, let's say, a picture is worth 1,000 words, right? And a video is basically a bunch of pictures stuck together, right? Your logic will be easily overwhelmed by emotion. And remember, in terms of the human brain, emotions were invented, that's funny. Emotions were evolved or came up. We had access to emotions way before any intelligent part of our brain. Because if we're in a situation of survival, it's like we don't have time to logically figure something out. All we know is, whew, I got this feeling, I better fight or flight, meaning run, right? So it's like, you only have a second to be safe. So yeah, emotion. So if you go to a nightclub, for example, we might tell ourselves things like, don't compare yourself with other people. This isn't real. This is like a video game. I'm just still on that, like this whole thing about infidelity. But if you're going to a place like a nightclub, it doesn't matter what logic you have. You are going to be taken over by that atmosphere. And I'm not saying anything's wrong with a nightclub, by the way, not at all. Heck no. Go and dance, have fun, enjoy nightclubs. But my point is, it's just an example of how you might try to. Some people, when they go to nightclubs, so it reminds me of a client that I had, and they'll just always be in the comparison paradigm, always thinking, these people are better looking, better dancers, A, B, C, D. These people get more attention than me. And it's like, that way of thinking is that comparison paradigm specifically is going to happen no matter what, just because it is a nightclub, right? So, I'm new to making videos, I might be getting off track here, but my point is, environment and constant exposure to something will always overwhelm our brain and be remembered way, way, way more than logic. So the call to action is, if you're using social media and you see content that you find triggering, okay? So there's two ways you could go with this. If you want to actually deal with your triggers, right, just in terms of your own mental health, then you can do that intentionally as well. But they can't just come up randomly when you're scrolling, right? Your brain is completely being hijacked, going in every way, which direction, when actually you just might want to be on social media just to escape or just to have fun or just as like a little break, right? So you can't afford completely, these things completely overriding you. Oh, I gotta talk fast. I think 10 minutes is the max. Anyways, what you need to do is literally make it a big, big, big habit to, right click on the content and type, not interested, or don't show me this, or put a thumbs down. And don't worry about the creator ethics or anything like that. All you're doing is letting the algorithm know that you just don't want to see that content, right? That's just how social media works these days, right? It's not something anyone should take personally. And then if you decide that you want to deal with something, right, like a fear of being cheated on is such a huge, understandable fear in today's society. So I'm not saying just ignore that. I'm saying write that down on let's say your mental health to-do list. Right? That's a whole concept. You can message me. I'll tell you more. But be intentional when that time comes, and then there'll be a gathering stage, and then there'll be an exposure stage. So, I help people with triggers like this all the time, with these deep fears, because what people do, and the walls that we put up to shield ourselves, they're also the walls that isolate us. So you got to deal with this stuff, right? So in this example, fear of being cheated on, and it's like there really needs to be time set aside for that. Look, if you want a free consultation, you want to learn how I can help you, like custom to your specific situation, please message me. We'll talk, we'll get to know each other, or just ask me a question and I'll answer. But I really want you to understand, it's not like everyone's cheating. It's not like this is happening all the time everywhere. So please, please, please do not be influenced by social media to think that. Okay? There are a lot of great people in this world.